All right, so the basis of this unit, the main thing that we need to be able to do is take the factoring stuff that we did before and apply it to two different situations here. The first one is going to be simplifying these expressions. And what this involves is basically factoring everything and then reducing things or canceling. And I hate using the word canceling because it's a dangerous word, because if we just start canceling, we just start crossing things off without thinking about it. Reducing is finding pairs of things that will uh, divide out to a 1. All right, so a couple things here to look for. Number one, I'm going to explain kind of basically how this works. If I had x minus 2 over x minus 2 times x minus 4, what I'm looking for is parentheses that are identical. And then I can eliminate them because if you think, not if you think, we know that 4 divided by 4 is equal to 1. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything divided by itself is equal to 1. So this divided by this will equal a 1. All right. Now, probably you're not going to write all the ones in there when you do that. I used to always do it when I went through to kind of remind myself that that's what I was doing. But it has to be things in parentheses canceling each other out or reducing. All right. So I have to look for that. So as kind of being careful here, if I had this, you cannot just cancel. And this is why I hate the word cancel. Be like, oh, look, an x squared and an x squared. You cannot do that because this plus right here, I think of it as like glue that holds things together. Pluses or adding and subtracting keeps things together. So with this right here, the x plus 6, even though it doesn't have any parentheses, is in parentheses, and so is this. Those parentheses are not the same. With this, you can't eliminate or reduce anything. All right, unless you could have it just the x squared by itself in each thing, you can't. And this is the first thing that we'll have all kinds of problems with. All right, so that's what we're looking for. We're eliminating parentheses. We're eliminating binomials most of the time. All right. Then there's this one trick that pops itself up in all kinds of stuff. We'll go through and say only reduce things when they're exactly the same. And then this kind of a thing pops up where it's x minus 1 times x minus 4 over 1 minus x times 1 or 6 minus x. Sorry, just making these up on the fly here. Nothing's identical, but this and this are nearly identical. All right. And this is a very long explanation if you go out and do the whole thing. All right. But what we're going to remember is that when things are just backwards like that with a minus sign in the middle, all right, it reduces to a minus 1. All right. Divides by minus 1. Because what would happen there is this sign would just be backwards in the number. All right. And so this is the trick to look for. Now, how often does this happen? Hardly ever. All right. But when it happens, it's always in something that's important that you need to know it for. All right. This takes a ton of practice. Even if the things are already all factored for you, it's hard enough to figure out what eliminates each other, reduces, or cancels. All right. And then all of a sudden the trick gets dropped and they're like that thing that I've got highlighted in purple. All right. You are not going to learn this by doing 2 examples. All right. You're going to need to go through, do several examples, skip your way down through that. I think there's 16 problems in this, and then the 4.2b file has a huge number of problems. You should be looking to do 10 or 12, including some of the bottom ones, which are going to tend to be the harder ones, because those are the ones that show up on assessments, all right, or things where you have to factor the top and factor the bottom, and there's some sort of different things going on in there. Maybe there's a GCF. So take your time, practice this. We're going to have several days to work on this, and we need to make sure that we're not just going to the check-in and being like, oh, I get these 2, I'm good. All right, we need to practice this a lot.